Gojo versus Sukuna is happening too soon. Before I get into the video, it'd just make my day if you guys were to like and subscribe, and let's jump straight into it. Like I said in my other video, after days and months of waiting for Satoru Gojo to finally get unsealed, it finally happened. But with the return of Satoru Gojo, I've noticed that Gege has been rushing the story and the pace of the plot has been going increasingly fast lately. And because of this, a lot of fans have been complaining about this. So because of this, I decided to make a video on why Gojo vs Sukuna is happening way sooner than it should be. For one, I feel like us as fans have a lack of information when it comes to what Gojo was doing while he was in the prison realm. Yes, I do acknowledge that in the new chapter we get some more things and information on what he was doing, but I felt like in that period where Gege felt like there needed to be a time skip, we should have at least learned something. And I'm not saying that we didn't learn anything at all, but I feel like in that period there's a lot of questions that needed to be answered. For us to really understand what Gojo went through when he was sealed, we need to go into his mind a little bit, and through Gojo explain to us how the prison realm can mess with you physically and mentally. This lack of information kind of just makes things more anticlimactic, and when Gojo finally returns, yeah, it's good fan service, but there's a lot of hidden things that just make it less, I guess, impactful. Gojo reacting normally upon hearing Nanami's death when he first comes back is a surprise, because if you really think about it, Gojo back then, before he got sealed, talked about how close friends he was with Nanami. So for him during that duration of time to just not do anything and just to accept what's happened is kind of out of character. For example, in volume 0, we know that Gojo would go to crazy lengths to defend his friends and students when the higher-ups try to challenge his request of keeping Yuta alive. Same thing with Yuji. It's also shown many times, and guess what happens as soon as Gojo's out the picture? They send Yuta to kill Yuji. So I feel like either one thing could have happened when he was in the prison realm that we can infer. Gojo's mentality had to change in a positive way to where he's so different than what he was before. We were all theorizing, and most of us fans were very certain that when Gojo came out the box, he would be in a vengeful rage of just hate towards the higher-ups. But it's the complete opposite, just sinking all of our expectations. And we only learned in this new chapter, upon hearing that Yaga died and what Ganji had to do, that Gojo finally decided to kill the higher-ups. Gojo's eternal struggle is also another thing that I'm about to mention that I feel like Gege should have executed on during this time skip. The internal struggle revolving whether or not being Satoru Gojo makes him the strongest, or if being the strongest makes him Satoru Gojo, is something I feel like Gege should have exploited, and if that was exploited, would have had a better payoff here for this fight. And to finish up on this Gojo point, I feel like we should have been able to see Gojo train some more. Us just skipping months later and then learning that Gojo was training kind of just takes all the hype out of it. Like, come on, we could at least see something with how we did in Hidden Inventory when Gojo was training his technique. And this brings me to one of my biggest frustrations about this whole entire time skip and why I feel like this is just happening way too soon. And that's Sukuna's quest to get all 20 fingers. I feel like us not seeing him get the other 5 is so annoying. Having obstacles and conflict are essential for any sort of compelling narrative, and I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen no different. Because of Sukuna's lack of screen time during that time skip and us not being able to see him acquire the other fingers, it leads to an undermining narrative, to say the least. Us not being able to see Sukuna acquire the other fingers defeats any new layer of depth that the story was trying to add, and kind of makes us uninterested. While we do wonder how the story will unfold now, it kind of just destroys any opportunities for character growth that we could have had with Gojo, or just new adventures we could have seen. Remember, it seems like the manga's about to end soon, so why not show us as much as we can before it does? Additionally, the absence of those scenes that show us Sukuna getting the last 5 may disrupt the sense of anticipation and urgency that drives the story forward. As viewers, we kind of want a climactic showdown where we see Sukuna obtain all his fingers and unleash his full power through us seeing the whole journey and not just it being skipped. So by losing that, we kind of lose momentum in the narrative and the story, and us as fans on Twitter have expressed how we're already feeling unsatisfied with this. Not only that, it also just dilutes the impact of his character and undermines the core conflicts that have been shown throughout the entire manga. So yeah, while I'll still read the big fight at the end, it's kind of butchered to me, and it just to be honest, is not gonna hit the same. But before I end this video off, let's just go over a few things that I actually liked about this time skip and what Gege did before the actual fight happened or started in 223. For starters, I like the foreshadowing earlier in the series, how it kind of implies that Gojo hid the finger from Sukuna, and now when we see the time skip is finally passed, Sukuna's looking for the last finger and he simply just can't find it. So this just shows how protective Gojo is of his students, and that's something I really like. Number 2, Gojo's fit before he goes out to fight Sukuna. I feel like him wearing Toji's outfit reminds us of the impact that Toji had on the Jujutsu world as a whole and how he's still being remembered today despite him literally being dead. However, I do like how in this new chapter it does go over some of the things that we missed during that time skip, but I felt like instead of Gege having to rush those other things and put them in this new chapter to explain what was happening, why didn't he just spend a whole entire arc, or not even an arc, just 3 to 4 chapters revving us up for the final battle once and for all? But I mean, I'm just a fan of the series. I don't actually dictate whatever's written, but if you guys like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'm gonna be uploading more JJK content every other day. So yeah, with that being said, I'm out.